Hey, it's Jeff Sauer here, and in this video, we are going to talk about hiring your first employee at your agency or making the leap from when you're a freelancer, just a solo consultant, to hiring your first employee. Now, there's a lot of consideration that goes into hiring an employee, and I just want to talk about some models that you might want to work through as you go through this process and give you some ideas as to what you can expect down the line with this process. Now, the first thing I want to say is congratulations. This is a really big step in your business to the point where you are so busy, you have so much going on, so much work, so many clients, whatever it is, that you've decided that it's time for you to bring on an employee. Now, you've probably thought long and hard about this, whether or not it's a good idea, whether you can cash flow it, meaning whether you have enough cash in the bank to pay somebody's checks. You have all kinds of ideas around how do you pay them on time, how do you get payroll software, how does all this work? And this is actually the biggest question I had when I was starting my business and when I was really growing my consultancy when I first got started. And so one of the considerations that I had was, can I cash flow enough to pay people? Can I pay people salaries? Can I do the tax liabilities? Can I do the payroll liabilities? And those are really good questions to ask. And to be honest, in my case, rather than hiring employees, I joined another company where I became a owner and an employee of that business, and they had a lot of that infrastructure in place. So that was the way that I handled it when I first got started, because I didn't really want to deal with those things, and I thought there was strength in working with another company. So instead of bringing on employees myself, I brought on business partners, or I became a partner in a business and was able to go through that on my end. Now, that is a valid choice for you as well. That's just how I did things in my case, and I really don't have many regrets about that, but I can understand the reason why you might not want to do that, or maybe that offer is not on the table for you, and so you might want to do something differently. You might want to hire an employee. So here are some considerations that you need to make when you hire an employee. The first one is cash flow. Think about cash flow from this perspective. When you pay yourself in your business, it probably is the result of your contracts coming in, people paying you, your clients paying you, and it's probably not something you do consistently. Now, you might pay yourself a salary every single 2 weeks like you did when you had a job, but most of us who are freelancers or really small consultancies or one-person agencies, whatever we want to call it, most of us will pay ourselves whenever the money comes in. So it could be that we have months where we make zero money, none at all. I've had those myself, many of those. Or it could be some case where we have $10,000 or $20,000, $30,000 coming in, and we pay a significant portion of that back to ourselves as the owner of the business, as the number one employee of the business. And so that's okay when you're doing it by yourself, but it's not something that really works out well when somebody's expecting a paycheck every 2 weeks. And not just a paycheck, but they're expecting maybe health insurance or benefits, depending on where you're located. They're expecting all kinds of different things that come along with employment. And so it's not the same to have just you paying yourself whenever the money comes in as it is to pay an employee. So one way you'll need to change your thinking is to think about this as a 6-month proposition or a year-long proposition, as opposed to something that's month to month like you might currently run your business. So how do you think about it that way? Well, first of all, what's the salary that you need to pay somebody plus benefits? What's the amount of money you are on the hook for paying somebody if they become an employee? It's probably about twice their salary. I'd budget for that much. So if somebody wants $5,000 a month, I would try budgeting somewhere around $10,000 a month to say you have enough cash to cash flow this and to take care of that employee. Now, if you're a risk-oriented person, or if you want to take a loan from a bank, or if you don't really worry about cash flow much, you might decide, okay, well, if I have a month in the bank, I'm going to hire somebody and I'm going to make that money back by the end of that first month, and I'll never have cash flow issues. If you're more conservative, like I am, it might be 3 months. Actually, I'm so conservative that I'm talking more like 6 months that you can afford to pay this person before you bring them on. Or some people even go as far as a year. Now, a year is pretty crazy, but it's something you can consider because a year gives you a lot of stability. And there's really not a lot of risk if you have a whole year to make that salary back. But generally speaking, the longer your runway that you can afford to pay somebody, the less risk is involved with bringing on that employee. And the sooner you do it, the more risk you take on, the quicker they're going to get on board, but you're also doing risk. So risk can get you on board quicker. Risk can help your business grow much more quickly because you're bringing that employee on after month 1 as opposed to 12 months later. And you need to weigh that balance to decide what do you want? Do you want a lifestyle business? Do you want a high growth business? And how do you want to do this? And do you have the cash to do it? Or do you need to go out and get the cash from another source? And at what price does that cash come from? At what price does it cost your business? Does it cost you? Does it cost you in interest? Does it cost you in lost opportunities? Does it cost you equity in your company? These are all considerations you should make before you hire an employee. And then from a practical perspective, you might say, okay, well, I might do a cash flow projection where my 6-month cash flow is how I decide if I have an employee, or you might do a revenue per headcount calculation. Now, this is one that I've done and relied upon for years. And basically, you need to have a certain amount of revenue per person in your business in order to turn a profit and in order to be comfortable hiring somebody. So you might choose that number is $100,000 if you're bringing on a junior employee. You might choose that number to be $200,000 if you want to have a super profitable business in a nation where salaries are expensive. That's a number you might choose to use, for example, if you're in the United States. And so those numbers are guidelines that we can use to decide, are we ready to bring on employees or not? And so basically, bringing on the employee and hiring them, that is a big consideration, but that's more of a formality. Really, it's about the mentality that we go through and the mental hurdles we need to clear to decide if we're ready to do that yet. And so in this video, I'm talking more about those mental preparations you need to make versus going out there and where you can find people's resumes and where to post your job listing. Because really, that's more of a formality. There's probably a lot of people who want to work with you, who want the opportunity to work with a growing company, and who are excited to work with you and to capture the momentum that you have. That part is relatively easy compared to the mental decisions you need to go through. And so figure out what your framework is. I've given you a couple decision-making frameworks you can do to say, am I ready for this or not? And what gains am I going to have? Now, the reason why we hire employees in our business is because we want to grow. We see some kind of cap on what we can do as individuals, meaning we can only take on so many clients, we can only do so much work. There's only so many things we can do with the time we have available. So you might find that your income gets capped as a result of being a one-person business. And so employees, what they're designed to do is, one, they're designed to help you generate profit. And the reason why they generate profit is because now you can do more work and you can bring in more revenue for your business. And most likely, any employee you bring on is going to be paid less money than what you pay yourself, depending on how strong you are in business and how long you've been in business. And so basically you can bring on somebody who gets paid less than you do. You can take on more work, more of the same work, maybe even double the size of your business and pay somebody less. And ultimately, if that happens, that becomes a profit generating machine. And now notice that I said if there, because this is not a guarantee, and it actually does take a lot of effort in order to get to that point. But that's the reason why we even consider hiring employees in the first place. Because if we didn't do that, then we'd probably try to outsource, or we would probably basically say, let's just stay the same size business forever. And so the reason why we hire employees is because the writing is on the wall with our business that there's more to it than just being a single consultant, bringing on your core clients and working for them indefinitely. You need to hire people if you want to grow. Hiring people and doing it the right way and having the right people on your team can be a major profit generator for a service business. And also it can help you legitimize your business entirely. It helps you diversify, bring in more revenue, and put some process in place that makes your business run even better. And so these are many of the reasons why you might want to hire an employee. But again, before you get started, it's all going to be about clearing a mental barrier in your business. So hopefully this video has been helpful for you to understand exactly why we do the things we do, why you might want to consider hiring somebody, and why you might want to wait a little bit before making that hire if you have cash flow issues. So those are some simple frameworks, some simple mental things that you need to clear with yourself before you bring on employees. But if you want to generate big profits and if you want to generate revenue in the $500,000 to $1 million plus range, you are going to need some type of employee. Or you're going to need to join your services up with another business and become one of their partners, sort of like what I did. If you want to grow beyond a certain point, the only way to do it is through hiring people onto your team. And the final thought I have on this is, what role should you hire for? Well, the obvious one that will get your money back right away is to hire somebody who is either in charge of business development or somebody who can free you up from the day-to-day tasks so you can focus on business development. Remember, hiring somebody is supposed to be a 1 + 1 = 3 scenario, where you plus this other person is supposed to generate 3 times the income that you could do on your own. And if that happens, then you're sitting pretty in your business. So when you consider bringing on an employee, think about what they can do for your business or what they can take off your plate so you can go and improve your business as well. And that's the key to succeeding when you hire employees in your agency business, or if you're a freelancer looking to expand into a consulting shop or an agency. That's the way we think about doing it with every single hire. What benefits can they do, and how do they make us better as a result of joining the team?